In the Grand Hall of Justice, where marble pillars rose to the ceiling and silence carried the weight of law, the courtroom buzzed with whispers. Everyone had gathered for a highly unusual case, a teenage girl claiming to have supernatural abilities. The prosecution called her a liar. The defense said she was a miracle. And at the center of it all sat Judge Raymond Harlan, a man known for his stern demeanor and intolerance for nonsense. The girl stood at the witness stand. Her name was Evelyn, no older than 16, her frame thin, her eyes large and dark as obsidian. She didn't speak loudly, but there was something in her voice that made people stop breathing for a second. "I can read minds," she said calmly. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Judge Harlan raised a brow, then chuckled dryly, tapping his gavel for silence. "Miss Evelyn," he said with mild amusement, "you do realize you're in a court of law, not a circus tent." "I know exactly where I am, Your Honor," she replied, her voice unwavering. He leaned forward. "And how exactly would you prove such an absurd claim? Are you going to guess what number I'm thinking?" "I don't guess," she said simply. "I see." The judge smirked, now visibly entertained. "All right then," he said with a hint of mockery. "Read my mind." The room held its breath. Evelyn stared at him calm, unblinking. Then her lips parted. "March 8, 1997, Riverside Park, under the willow tree by the lake. You were 17. She had a red dress and tears in her eyes. You were going to ask her to stay, but instead you let her walk away. You've regretted it every single day since." The courtroom went still, deathly still. Judge Harlan froze. His gavel slipped from his fingers and hit the desk with a hollow thud. His face turned pale, mouth slightly open, eyes locked on the girl like she had just opened a door to a room he'd sealed shut decades ago. How do you know that?" He whispered. "I told you," she said gently. "I can read minds. Not all the time, not everything. But when the thoughts scream loud enough, I hear them." He sat back slowly, visibly shaken, and rubbed his face with trembling hands. That memory, no one had ever known, not even his closest friend. It wasn't a crime. It wasn't even relevant to the case. But it was real, too real, word for word, moment for moment. She described it like she had lived it through his eyes. Gasps and stunned looks passed across the room. The prosecutor stood with his mouth ajar. The defense attorney just stared. The bailiff, who had seen it all over the years, looked visibly disturbed. The judge cleared his throat, trying to regain composure. But it was no use. Something in him had cracked. I believe we need a recess," he said, his voice hoarse, avoiding her gaze. Evelyn just looked down, quietly, but everyone else looked at her differently now. No one laughed again.